theoretically. So it is going to be Silky versus Prebs. Do we have bios on them?
We sure do. So Silky from Clarity Gaming is Nick McNeese, and he is a Zerg player from Southern California. Yeah, there it is. He generally incorporates macro-based play and tends to transition between things quite frequently. He's currently a high school student, and he, in his free time, is doing his very best to improve his play style with the practicing and learning more things about the game, essentially. When he's not playing StarCraft, he's usually studying, surfing, or snowboarding, and the weather is definitely conducive to that. He hopes that you enjoy watching him play, though. And for seed, Prebs. So Prebs is Preben Johnson. He's a 19-year-old Norwegian Zerg player, and he is a 5-time European Grandmaster. He says his play style is fairly standard, but he likes being aggressive versus Protoss and teching expanding behind that aggression. When he's not playing StarCraft, he usually hangs out with his pet polar bear and digs for oil. And he says, good luck, have fun, clarity.
Cool. And both players are ready. It is awesome to find out the background information on these players, and we really appreciate the players and the captains taking the time to assemble that for us, as it really gets the viewers and us to a better feel for who they are and where they come from in StarCraft, and that's kind of the overarching goal of SC2CTL, be it a show match or the regular season, so thanks for that.
That's exactly right. We love to show people a little bit more about the players that they're watching. These guys you might not see quite as often as you'll see some of the bigger names in StarCraft, such as Hero and other folks. So we wanted to get you to know them a little bit closer, get a little bit more behind the scenes with these players.
Absolutely. And jumping into Star Station, in the lower right-hand corner, our Blue Zerg representing Clarity Gaming, it is Silky.
And in the top left corner, representing Root Seed and having the red carapace, it is Prebs.
All of the above.
All of the above. I'm
Much
gonna go
pronunciation, very difficult.
Amaze, wow. Alright, so Overlords heading across the map, gonna high five in the middle based on current trajectories.
Yeah, I will normally open every map by saying, I love this map or I hate this map. And again, this is another one that I love. There are several that I hate, but I really like a lot of the maps. You know, a lot of the interesting ones are interesting to me, if that makes sense.
Sure does.
But this map
Not
is,
redundant at all.
I think, the perfect balance of distance and closeness. It allows you to really be able to get your macro going, or to be able to put on some aggression, and I don't know, I just like it. What do you think?
No, I agree. You know, I like some of the smaller and like I like the aggressive games, especially with Zerg versus Zerg. You know, Wingnut and I have had this conversation innumerable times about how he kind of doesn't like the early game Zerg versus Zerg and all the aggression. I find it incredibly exciting to watch. I think that the control is so neat, and so having maps that are kind of conducive to that is very cool for me.
This is definitely one of those, especially in a ZVZ, because there's a lot of space and it's difficult to manage it depending on the people we've seen. And as you said, I mean, that can really make all the difference. Both players putting down a spawning pool at nearly exactly the same time. A couple more drones ahead for Prebs, while Silky is opting for the expansion just slightly sooner, but Prebs now putting his down directly behind, and I apologize in advance to all these fine folks if I'm mispronouncing your names. I really do.
I'm sure that they are a couple of forgiving individuals, so I don't think there's too many worries. Prebs getting that gas going down right now. He's going to try and get some tech. Probably going to see some speed Zerglings come out of these. Although sometimes you do see the opt for just stopping at the 50 gas or pulling out a couple of drones at 50 gas and just going for the banelings. So you have slow lings but speed or faster banelings than you would otherwise have, and can kind of get the drop on your opponent in that way.
Yeah, both players really kind of not diverging from each other a whole lot until the gas came out for Prebs here, and yeah, I totally agree with you that we're likely going to see some speed, but you know, honestly, on this map, one of my favorite things to see, and one of the coolest games I think we've ever seen, was some Swarm Host play on this map. I think this map is really conducive to that, and it's one of my... I just love Swarm Host, man.
Yeah, they're definitely fun, and you know, it's hard to see. It's hard to get them to work, but when they do, it's really neat. Looks like these Zerglings played a little ring around of the Rosie in the middle of the map, so both players have a couple of Lings headed into their opponent's base. Nothing that the other can't really handle, though.
Yeah, Silky's going to be using his to do some scouting around, checking the back of his expansion to see if anything's there, but it just popped, so there's not even creep there to build anything. Queen was actually a bit extended there for Silky. Going to now put down a creep tumor, but maybe potentially trying to stop an incoming Ling, but did not catch it as it was on the other side. But one Ling does go down for Prebs, but he does see what he wants to see.
Yeah, both players have gotten the scouting done that they want. It looks like Silky still has a single Zergling that's running around being annoying in the base of Prebs. That Queen is doing what it can, does get that clean up, so now the drones are free to do whatever they like.
And Silky did put down double gas in his main the instant that Zergling was out of range of those geysers. So this is maybe going to be a little bit of a surprise for Prebs depending on what he decides to do with it. But lots of drones coming out for both players. Ling speed is about half done for Prebs as well as that Baneling nest. But also going for a third base. So he's going to try and be aggressive with these Lings and Banelings while also macroing behind it. Hopefully he can be efficient enough to make that work out for him.
You know, Silky does have vision of this third base there. That Overlord is there, and it looks like Silky's going to be trying to go for a tech transition based on his current accumulation of gas. Looks like Prebs supply blocked himself a little bit there, so that is going to slow down his production a bit. Is really riding close to that line, continues to make some Overlords and trying to get those Lings out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, his Ling speed did just finish as we saw the amazing animation on the side that shows when upgrades are about to finish in Game Heart. Super duper really love that. But, you know, usually when we see that speed finish up, the player is going to have some Lings across the map ready to push that advantage right away. Obviously, Silky not going for Ling speed. He's going for some Roaches and Delayer real quick right here. So Prebs is going to be a little bit behind, and now by the time he gets there, there's going to be a full wall off here by Silky.
Yeah, and that's some great vision that he had there. You know, he's got these Overlords all over the place. The Lings are only able to get a limited surround on that Roach Warren, and these Queens are just going to be able to hold this off for a long time. There are a couple of Banelings that were being morphed, but it looks like those got canceled.
Yeah, and now these Roaches that Silky's going to be coming out with are going to be really strong against the composition of Prebs, so he's going to want to probably transition out of that or into something else relatively quickly, and he does have his layer done right away. Roach upgrades going down Roach speed as well as range attack and carapace, so with these attacks all finishing up pretty much simultaneously, we're going to see a pretty strong push out of Silky, I think.
Yeah, and Prebs is going to have a hard time, I think, initially defending against this. He's pretty far behind in tech. His lair is only half done. His Roach Warren's only half done. And if, you know, Silky can take advantage of this timing, then he's going to be able to hit hard.
And now Silky is going to be killing off this extra Evo chamber, which is worth its weight in gold, holding all of those Lings at bay. Oh, but they are going to keep on coming back, so they're going to see what Silky is doing. So maybe he's going to try and push in there, but these Roaches are ready to plug the hole as soon as it finishes.
Yeah, I think Silky's more interested in trying to move out with these Roaches, doesn't want to be held back, and that's what those Zerglings are trying to do, trying to keep them held back to buy Prebs time to get the tech that he needs to handle this. And so these Lings are going to be moving around, trying to pick off some of those creep tumors as they're able to, but just great interceptions there by Silky.
Yeah, Silky doing a great job of being in the right position at the right time, because he's got to be really careful, because if these Lings do slip around and manage to find an opening in this wall, they could do a lot of damage before these slow Roaches, which Roach speed is going to be just finishing up here, could get back, but Roach speed is going to finish. A lot of Roaches coming out, 8 in queue right now. Burrow on the way as well, so, I mean, Roach Burrow now is just amazing, and I'm really interested to see what Silky can do with this.
Well, that is actually Prebs getting the Roach Burrow in anticipation of this attack, I believe.
Yeah, and Prebs is getting his own large force of Roaches here as well. And now being on third base and 3 bases as well that are operating, he's going to maybe come into a bit of an advantage here.
So that hole was not plugged, and the Lings are moving straight into the main. The drones are having to be pulled, trying to get whatever kills that he can. Unfortunately, there's just so much here. There's Queens. The Roaches are moving in, able to defend this. These Lings aren't getting a whole lot done, getting a few drone kills, but ultimately just kind of running around in vain, other than just seeing what type of tech his opponent has coming up his sleeve.
And this is pulling a huge number of Roaches out of position for Silky as well. People asking the score in chat is Clarity 1, Seed 0 at the moment. This is game number 2 to update you. But now the Roaches of Silky pushing out to push back the Roaches of Prebs. Silky does have a bit of an upgrade advantage here, as he does have 1-1, whereas Prebs only has 1-0, but we'll see how long that lasts.
But I did like that play there by Prebs. He was trying to pull the roaches out of position and move immediately forward with his own roaches. He just wasn't able to get across the map quite quickly enough, and the roaches were able to get back to where they needed to be. And Silky does have this observer hanging out over his opponent's army, and that's the neat thing about when your opponent's army doesn't have anything that shoots up. You can just kind of have something trailing behind.
And especially that'll negate the burrow a bit, because he doesn't really have anything to deal with that observer. He can just kind of hang out over those roaches whether they burrow or not. But Infestation Pit is about to finish up for Prebs, so maybe we will see a little bit of that Swarm Host action. A lot more roaches are about to finish here for Silky, though, as his 2-2 is going to be done pretty quick. With Tunneling Claws as well getting close for Prebs.
And here's the engagement in the middle. Great positioning there for Silky, although he does move into the concave a little bit, and now he's forced to retreat back onto his own creep. Is getting a good split, trying to get the concave advantage, which he does, and Prebs recognizes it and runs straight on out of there. Tunneling Claws is about to finish for Prebs, however, so he could, if he chose to, burrow and move out of there, but that observer is still lingering, so he doesn't want to be too aggressive with that.
Both players have a 4th base going down at exactly the same time. Looks like we're going to see Pathogen Glands coming down from Prebs, so it is not going to be Swarm Host. It's going to be Infestor play, which is equally as interesting. Ground Carapace finishing up, as well as attacks. Did he cancel attacks? Or that finished earlier? Anyway, looks like we're going to be 2-2 for Silky here relatively soon, as we are still 1-0 for Prebs. So these roaches of Silky are going to become quite powerful against the ones of Prebs. So those infestors are going to have to come on the play relatively quickly.
Prebs trying to do a sneak attack here in the 3rd base, but there is an observer there, so they are getting caught off guard, and there isn't going to be a whole lot done with that. Cool idea to try and poke, but unfortunately it's not going to work out for him quite this time. He is getting some roach kills, as the majority of the army was not with those small roaches, but ultimately this does get cleaned up and with minimal losses. But another group of roaches is trying to get into the main. Again, observer is there, ready to deal with it, and that hole for Silky is kind of becoming a little bit of a problem. He's going to have to learn to plug that.
Yeah, but as you mentioned, I mean, the real difference here is, obviously Prebs wanted to get some really good sneaky harassment done with the Roach Burrow and the Tunneling Claws, but with both players having only roaches and the only thing that shoots up is queens, those observers, or overseers, can actually just hang around indefinitely wherever they want, and that's going to pretty much negate that. But Silky is going to be moving in, looking for the best positioning here. He's going to focus down this hatchery.
Yeah, Prebs doesn't have any choice here. He's going to have to let that go. All he can try and do is get the best concave position, and it is pretty good, but Silky is trying to create his own and do as much, and it looks like he might actually be able to save
nice
this.
Fungal there from Prebs.
And now these infestors are here. He's got to try and micro them a little bit, though. He's already lost a couple, but these the problem for Prebs right now is he just does not have the armor upgrades. His opponent does. Another great fungal, 2 in a row, and these infestors are paying for themselves.
Yeah, those fungals are grabbing large numbers of roaches, which is really holding back the speed. And, Silky is really doing a lot of micro to try and gain the best concave here, and he's doing a great job of it. Look at that concave against Prebs, absolutely destroying the roaches. The armor and attack upgrades really coming to be worth a while now, but extra roaches come out for Prebs now, and it's going to surround that of Silky and force him to retreat.
So a big army trade here, but not a whole lot of other aggression happened, There wasn't a whole lot of workers killed, but it looks like this is actually still going on. The infestors are moving back. They're really low on energy. We won't see any more fungals anytime soon, and Prebs is continuing to push Silky on back. He's going to have to be careful with those. Yeah, I was going to say, he's getting those few roaches a little out of position.
Yeah, Hydralisks are coming out for both players now. A few more for Silky than for Prebs, but it is going to be a similar play. But the big difference is that the hive is about half done for Silky. So given what we've seen so far, and as the Zerga player, Mr. Delegation, what do you expect to come out tech-wise from Silky with that hive?
It's an interesting question, what you're going to, because he's mostly going to be going for those upgrades. It's not, there's not a lot of units in hive tech that really benefit from the ranged upgrades. So he's going to be just kind of going for that. Oh, a corruption! You don't see that often on the Hydralisk Den. That is going to slow down that upgrade, but it's not going to slow it down for long.
Silky moving in here to the 3rd base of Prebs, getting that concave that he likes to have, and those roaches are absolutely demolishing the forces of Prebs. Prebs is going to have to force to be pushed back, and he really wants to take out this hatchery here as he's focusing it down with half of his units while using the other half to keep the army at bay.
And you know that he just had the Hydralisk advantage. It doesn't look like much, but there was enough there. Great fungal, but unfortunately it's just not going to be enough. And Prebs is going to lose that base. This army is going to be chasing down what's left, and those infestors are not long for this world.
Muscular
Great delay
Augment's
tactic, though.
Yeah, Muscular Augment's just finishing up as well for Silky, so those Hydras are going to be super duper fast. He's going to come in and snipe down the Hydra Den, which was researching for Prebs. That's going to put him back, as he will not be able to make any Hydralisks, and he will lose the money on that research as well.
Yeah, so he's really on the back foot now. Silky streaming in with more Hydralisks who have superior upgrades, and there is the GG.
GG from Prebs indeed. That was a really fast-paced game. There was action going on pretty much the entire time.
Oh yeah, I mean both players were hitting back and forth, trying to find the right point of entry, and I gotta say, even though Prebs didn't end up pulling that out, I really did enjoy trying to see his sneak attacks. You know, he was trying to abuse that hole in the wall, get those lings in there, get a couple of burrowed roaches in. I was trying to hit it various places at the same time, and I liked the way that he was thinking. He just didn't have the same amount of upgrades, and when you have two equal armies that have unequal upgrades, the one with more wins.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that really paid off for Silky, putting that research monies into his upgrades for the roaches and then eventually paying off for the Hydras. I think really once that Hydra swell came out with the upgrades, like you said, that was what made the big difference. And I mean, Silky just had some amazing control. Getting in and getting those concaves was absolutely incredible and really turned the tide of battle for him several times, because I mean, you would see the ability of him to control portions of his army independently quite a lot. I mean, he was using half of his army to kind of keep the army of Prebs back while he was taking out bases, and that allowed him to really move in and not actually stop the reinforcements from Prebs quite a bit as well.
Yeah, it seemed like both players were trying to manipulate that concave in their own favor, and there was a lot of dancing going around, especially in the mid-game with the roaches. That's just a lot of fun to see, the level of control that's going on there, and I think that in addition to the upgrade advantage, Silky did have a little bit better control in a lot of those engagements.
So for those of you just turning in, this is SC2CTL DOGE Doggy Coin Show match between Clarity Gaming and TtSEED. With this win by Silky, that puts Clarity up 2-0. So Clarity off to a great start here against SEED, but let that not fool you. SEED has been putting up a great fight in both of these games so far.
Absolutely, and both teams are very highly lauded, have great players, and this is going to continue to be an interesting show match. I'm really excited to see what happens. I'm also excited to see who our next contestants are going to be, as we've kind of gone off script in terms of the order, so I have no idea who we're going to be seeing next.
I would think we would see Reborn and Estrella, but it depends on if Estrella is available now. If not, I would expect it would be Shoe and Bones. Either way, we will know here shortly. We're going to take a very brief break as the next lobby is created, so just hang on with